I'm Marni Hughes, and this is Missing. Thank you for joining us. Each week, we cover a missing person case that isn't getting much attention. Every missing person matters, no matter their race, background, or circumstances. By highlighting these cases and sharing their stories, we believe every case is solvable. And together, we can bring answers to the family and friends of the missing. This week's featured case takes us to Wichita Falls, Texas, and the disappearance of Keith Man. Keith was 20 years old when he vanished in May of 1997. His dad and stepmom, even investigators, frozen in time, thinking back to the last day Keith was seen.
He spent the day at work, and then he went out with friends that night. And him and his friends kind of went out and grabbed some burgers at a fast food restaurant, and then they stopped by a gas station. And one of his friends was also a coworker from the dealership, and they had a vehicle, and they went riding around in that vehicle until they took Keith to his apartment.
Coming up, a mysterious meeting, finding Keith's car, and possible sightings throughout the years. Keith's parents will be joining us to talk more about the case and how you can help. First, several other missing cases that we are following. Police in San Bernardino County, California, are searching for a baby missing since August 14th. This is Emmanuel Haro, 7 months old. His mom had initially told investigators that she was attacked and that the baby had been kidnapped. Investigators now say there are inconsistencies in the mom's story. We've also learned Emmanuel's father, Jake, has a felony conviction for child cruelty in 2018. Police say the parents have been less than cooperative, and authorities have since taken their 2-year-old son into custody and searched their home with dogs. Still, the parents are pleading with the public to help find Emmanuel. An attorney representing the dad on another case says he disputes the claims that the father is not working with police. Anyone with information is asked to call 911. Anonymous tips can also be submitted to WeTip.com or 1-800-78-CRIME. A tragic update in the search for Kylie Montero from Rehoboth, Massachusetts. Police confirming a body was found on the property of Kylie's boyfriend. The Bristol County District Attorney says the remains found at Gregory Groom's house are consistent with those of Kylie. Today, her boyfriend will be in court where he'll be charged with murder and aggravated assault on a pregnant person. According to her friends and family, she was 11 weeks pregnant, and police confirming that as well. The night before Kylie vanished, her sister said she had gotten into an argument with her boyfriend and had expressed fear for her safety. Now to this week's featured case, the disappearance of Keith Man. Missing since 1997, Keith is from Wichita Falls, Texas. He had just started a new job and was engaged when he mysteriously vanished.
Oh, there's a lot of questions I have. There's a lot of questions I want to answer. I want to, know some things, and it's just very tough. I'm not going to give up until I find him, one way or the other.
Greg and Deborah Mann have been looking for their son Keith for 28 years.
He was about 2 years old when we married back in 1980, and he was just a sweet little boy that, just typical, loved to play ball, any kind of ball, sports.
Keith had his whole life ahead of him. In May of 1997, just 20 years old, he had a new job at an auto dealership, a fiancée, Carrie, and plans for a future. May 10th, 1997 was a pleasant Saturday in Wichita Falls, Texas.
He worked a full shift. He sold 2 cars that day. He was even scheduled to deliver one of those vehicles on Monday. So he had a commission check coming to him. He spent the day at work, and then he went out with friends that night. And him and his friends kind of went out and grabbed some burgers at a fast food restaurant, and then they stopped by a gas station. And one of his friends was also a coworker from the dealership, and they had a vehicle, and they went riding around in that vehicle until they took Keith to his apartment.
Keith's friends say they dropped him off at his new place at the Fountain Gate Apartments.
They went out that night and claimed they dropped him off. Saw him when he dropped him off, they saw him walk up half flight of stairs and left. They never saw him go into the apartment.
Keith had told his friends that he had to get back home to meet someone.
He'd been dropped off by friends. He was supposedly meeting someone later on that evening. It was, late at night. But that was it. There was no activity on his checking account. There was no run on any kind of credit cards. He just literally vanished.
The next morning was Mother's Day. Keith and his fiancée, Carrie, had plans to visit Greg and Deborah to celebrate the day. Greg and Deborah noticed the loner red Mustang Keith had been driving was parked next door in the church parking lot. With no word from Keith, they checked out the car.
As you got up on the car, you could see the trunk was popped. So opened the lid to the trunk, and it was clean. There was nothing inside the trunk, but there was a panel that was pushed out on that left-hand side, like someone had got something out of there.
The hours ticked by, still no word from Keith. By Monday morning, Greg filed a missing persons report with police.
We always knew where he was going and where he was at. This is the only time nothing, just like he fell off the face of the earth. You know, it didn't take any clothes with him. He had checks coming to him at his workplace. I know my son, he had won his money. Something happened to him.
A salesman from the dealership was called to pick up the car.
When he got there, you know, he was telling people, he's like, well, I didn't have to adjust the seat this time. And usually when I get in the car after Keith, I always have to adjust the seat because, you know, Keith was only like 5'7", and this guy is like, you know, close to 6 foot.
Questions arose as to whether Keith had driven the car to that church parking lot. There were searches and investigations, but very little to go on. Police have continued the search over the years, but the mystery remains.
In times past, there was always the hope held out that we would find Keith, that something had just occurred, maybe some kind of mental crisis that we were unaware of or undiagnosed, and that he just wandered off and we'd find him. But I think as I've worked on the case and reviewed the previous investigators' case work that they did, we're to the point now that we do suspect that foul play was involved.
There have been sightings, someone who looked like Keith in Mexico, another at a homeless encampment, but they weren't Keith. The case still unsolved. Greg and Deborah sort through rumors.
Most of the rumors involve being buried under concrete.
Yeah.
So there's several locations that they're, you know, have looked into, dug up one place and eliminated that one. But that just is the common theme around town.
Horrifying possibilities with no answers after 28 years.
And I know they probably get tired of me calling, but that's my son, and I want to know where he's at. I've been looking for him since he disappeared. I look for him. He's my son.
Yes, I can show that I'm okay and all that, but deep down inside, I'm not. You know, I want to know where my son is, and I want to know what happened to him.
Joining us now, Keith's dad, Greg, and his stepmom, Deborah Mann. Thank you both for being here. Greg, I want to start with you, and it breaks my heart. In that last couple of seconds, we see over the course of the 28 years, how many times you both have spoken out trying to find Keith and what happened. Talk to me first just about the emotional toll, the hole that him being gone has left in your heart.
Well, we've gone through a lot of emotions, still going through them, matter of fact. Have a lot of things going on besides Keith's case, and it seems like it's all just coming out and getting to me now. I just want to find my son, and of course, it's really nothing concrete to go on. We just keep talking to the police and doing different things and trying to find him, and still no luck on that.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just like he fell off the face of the earth with no trace. Let's talk about Keith for a moment. Deborah, I saw a picture of him playing baseball. Here looks like maybe a senior picture from high school. Tell us about Keith, and here's an age progression photo, what he enjoyed doing around that time in his life, what you all cherish memory-wise.
Right. Yes, he played a lot of baseball starting in high school when he came to live with us full time. And Greg had played previously in his high school days. So that was something that they could do to bond and, you know, have good times with. And we went to a lot of out-of-town baseball games and tournaments, and just our life in like those 4 or 5 years revolved around baseball. And he was kind of shy, especially around girls, but he also had a funny side to him. He liked to crack jokes and make you smile or laugh, and he just wanted everything to be pleasant. He didn't like confrontation at all, and he would shy away from that. And he just, like I said, he was just not the life of the party. He wasn't, real outgoing, but like I said, he kind of had two sides: the shy, reserved, polite side to him, and then, when he kind of cut loose, it was good to see him, being happy and trying to make us and his friends, happy with his jokes and things like that.
Greg, tell me about his engagement. I mean, he was, I'm sure, very excited to get married.
He was. They were. Well, she was coming in. She was out of town for the weekend when we went to the graduation, her graduation in Gainesville, Texas, and she was coming in. It would have been Sunday, I guess. She was coming in, and she came in a little early, but he wasn't to be found. But you were asking me about the engagement. He was excited about getting engaged, and he was looking forward to it. They just got an apartment, furnished it, and just, I guess, get life going with him and her, and that didn't happen.
Yeah. And that's what was kind of strange, is that he seemed like, his life was on track. Things were going well for him with the new job, the new apartment, getting engaged. And he just seemed like, things were going well. And so for him to come up missing like that, we couldn't understand it. Like what was going on.
It leads you and police at this point to believe that something nefarious may have happened, that there was foul play. Where is the investigation now? Greg, I'll pose this question to you. Any updates, any new leads in the last few years?
We have a few. The police do. As far as where it's at now, there's nothing going on. I mean, someone needs to come forward and say something or do something. Something needs to happen, and that's what I'm praying for. I hope that something happens where somebody wants to talk. We need someone to talk about what happened that night, and I think that's the only way we're going to get it solved, without him being found or something like that. So
what about forensics
right now?
What about forensics on the car? I think it's notable, as you all shared, that the seat wasn't in a position that Keith would have been the driver, that may have been adjusted or someone else was driving. Did they fingerprint the car? Did they find anything on the car that was unusual?
Not at first, no. The dealership wanted the car back as quick as they could get it there. When the locksmith came out and keyed the car and took it back, they detailed that car out. So when the police looked at it, the car was already detailed. Now, a few years later, when a different group of investigators got involved, they went down and they did all that. So it wasn't done at first.
Okay. 1997, I'm guessing he didn't have a cell phone at that point. What about his wallet? Any credit cards? Any trail?
The credit card that he had the night, let's see, we went to the graduation, was his fiance's credit card, FINA card. And that's the only one we know of. As far as being found or anything like that, no. As far as when he went out, did he have that stuff? No. So I really don't know any of that.
All right. What other organizations, guys, have you worked with over the years? This age progression photo is certainly helpful if Keith is still out there, what he may look like now. Have you involved a private investigator at any point? And who else have you worked with?
Yes, we did have a private investigator, local, that helped us the first year, did some interviewing and reported back to us. We've had, like I said, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The reason, even though he was older, but there's a law that because if you go missing, I think it's before the age of 21, that they will help and do some things. So they actually did the age progression picture, which to us, it doesn't look like him because we think of him still as being 20. He hasn't grown up in our eyes or in our dreams or anything like that. So it's hard to look at that picture and thinking that that's him, just because that's not how we thought he would turn out to look like. We've also, at one point, when Greg was talking about the investigators that looked at the car, they had found it a couple hours away from us. They were doing it was called Project Find Me, and this was like in 2001, 2002. And Keith's case was picked out of all the ones in Texas. I think there were only 20 that were picked that year. And they just did a whole full year of kind of like starting over, cold case investigation. They re-interviewed everybody that they had, that the police, Wichita Falls Police had reports on. And then they would ask them, well, who else can we talk to? So then, they'd get other names. And so they went and talked to a lot of people. They looked at where he worked at and the employees. They looked at them pretty hard that year. And then most recently, we've had an organization. It's called Solve the Case. And it's was started by a detective out of Plano, Texas, that had some ties to Wichita Falls. He had went to school here, went to the same high school as Keith, graduated the year Keith came up missing. So to him, he kind of was close to his heart. So he contacted us, and we were Keith's case was the first one on the website. I think it's solvethecase.org. And now they have, I think, at last count, it was like 800 cases. I wouldn't doubt it's up to 1,000 now, but and he's real good at pushing Keith's case out there. And anytime he has, like, he'll go to like crime con conventions, things like that, and he'll have Keith's picture and information out on his table or put it up on the wall of missing people, things like that. And he's helped us the last couple of years doing some things. So we're real appreciative of that.
That's wonderful. It means so much, I know, for you all to have support and as many people as will listen to know about Keith and to share his story. We've been at CrimeCon. I've seen that same wall of missing faces. In fact, I think that's part of the reason that we knew about Keith's story to begin with. Greg, let me ask you one final question. And you mentioned if anybody knows anything, it's time to speak up. What would be your message to anyone who is involved in Keith's disappearance? And if somehow Keith can hear you, anything you'd like to say to him?
Well, first, if anyone knows about where my son is or what's happened to him, I'm pleading for them to come forward and tell us what happened to him and where he is. I still would have a lot of questions, of course, if that happened, but I need to find him. I mean, it's been a long time, and we have health issues, my wife and myself, and they're not getting better either. So please, if you know anything or could help us out with it, please go to the police or come by my house. Most people know where I live here, so I've been here a long time. If Keith's listening to me, Keith, you need to come back. I want to talk to you and stuff and see you. I just hope that's the case. That would be wonderful if that happened. I don't feel like it will, but anyway, we need all the help we can get, and we appreciate you having us on your show and getting it out there more. And that's what our investigator said. The investigator, John Laughlin, said we need to keep it out there. And And that's what we're doing. We want to keep it out there. I do want to find him. I do want to know what happened to him. And thank you for having us on your show.
Well, we're here to do anything we can help to ease the pain that you guys are going through. Greg and Deborah Mann, thanks to you both. Please keep us posted if you learn anything, and we'll do the same as we together try to bring Keith home and bring you all some answers. My best to you. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If you have any information that can help in the search for Keith Mann, contact police. The Wichita Falls Police Department's number is 970-761-7917. Even if you have a small piece of information that you think is insignificant, police want to hear about it and follow up on that lead. If you have a missing case you think we should investigate, visit our missing page on newsnationnow.com. Many of the cases we cover come from you. And sign up for our weekly missing newsletter for the latest on missing cases we are working on. I want to thank again Greg and Deborah for joining us today. I'm Marni Hughes in Chicago. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you back here next week for another missing case.